Thank you. No, I say, shaken by the force of that intense personality suddenly turning itself wholly upon me. I don't think I do. If by patriotism you don't mean the love of one's homeland, for that I do know. No, I don't mean love. No, I don't mean love when I say patriotism. I mean fear, the fear of the other, and its expressions are political, not poetical. Hate, rivalry, aggression. It grows in us, that fear. It grows in us year by year. We have followed our road too far, and you, who come from a world that outgrew nations centuries ago, who hardly know what I am talking about, who show us the new road, he broke off. After a while, he went on in control again, cool and polite. It's because of fear that I refuse to urge your cause with the king now, but no fear for myself, Mr. I am not acting patriotically. There are, after all, other nations on getting. I had no idea what he was driving at, but was sure that he did not mean what he seemed to mean. Of all the dark, obstructed, enigmatic souls I had met in this black city, he was the darkest. I would not play his labyrinthine game. I made no reply. After a while he went on, rather cautiously. If I had understood you, your acumen is devoted essentially to the general interest of mankind. Now, for instance, the Orgota have experience in subordinating local interest to a general interest, while Carhide has almost none, and the commensals of Orgorein are mostly sane men, if unintelligent, while the king of Carhais is not only insane but rather stupid. It was clear that Straven had no loyalties at all. I said in faint disgust, it must be difficult to serve him if that is the case. If that's the case. I'm not sure I have ever served the king, said the king's prime minister, or ever intended to. I am not anyone's servant. A man must cast his own shadow. The guns in Remy Tower were striking 6 hours, midnight, and I took them as my excuse to go. As I was putting on my coat in the hallway, he said, I had lost my chance for the present, for I suppose you will be leaving Erhelgan. Why did he suppose so? But I trust a day will come when I can ask you questions again. There is so much I want to know about your mind speech in particular. You scarcely began to try to explain it to me. His curiosity seemed perfectly genuine, 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 genuine. He had the effrontery of the powerful. His promise to help me had seemed genuine too. I said yes, of course, whenever he liked, and that was the evening's end. He showed me out through the garden, where snow lay thin in the light of Getten's big, dull, rufous moon. I shivered as we went out, for it was well below freezing, and he said with polite surprise, You are cold? To him, of course, it was a mild spring night. I was tired and downcast. I said, I've been cold ever since I came to this world. What do you call it, this world, in your language? Getten. You gave it no name of your own? Yes, the first investigators did. They call it winter. We had stopped in the gateway of the walled garden outside of the walled garden. Outside the palace grounds and roof loomed in a dark snowy jumble lit here and there at various heights by the faint gold slits of windows. Standing under the narrow arch I glanced up, wondering if that keystone too was mortared with bone and blood. Straven took leave of me and turned away. He was never fulsome in his greetings and farewells. I went off through the silent courts and alleys of the palace, my boots crunching on the thin moonlight snow and homeward through the deep streets of the city. I was cold, unconfident, obsessed by perfidy and solitude and fear. 2. The place inside the blizzard. From a sound tape collection of North Carhaidish heard tales in the archives of the College of Historians in Ergenrang narrator unknown, recorded during the reign of Argaben VIII. About 200 years ago, in the heart of Chad, in the Perrin storm border, there were two brothers who vowed Kemerin to each other. In those days, as now, full brothers were permitted to keep Kemer until one of them should bear a child, but after that they must separate. So it was never permitted them to vow Kemerin for life. Yet this they had done. When a child was conceived, the Lord of Chad commanded them to break their vow and never meet in Kemer again. On hearing this command, one of the two, the one who bore the child, despaired and would hear no comfort or counsel, and procuring poison committed suicide. 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 Then the people of the heart rose up against the other brother and drove him out of her and domain, laying the shame of the suicide upon him. And since his own lord had exiled him, and his history went before him, none would take him, but after the 3 days guesting old sent him from their doors as an outlaw. So from place to place he went until he saw that there was no kindness left for him in his own land, and his crime would not be forgiven. Asterisk. His transgression of the code controlling incest became a crime when seen as the cause of his brother's suicide. Okay. He had not believed this would be so, being a young man and unhardened. When he saw that it was so indeed, he returned over the land to Chad, and as an exile stood in the doorway of the outer hearth. This he said to his hearth fellows there: I am without a face among men, I am not seen. I speak and am not heard. I come and am not welcome. There is no place by the fire for me, nor food on the table for me, nor a bed made for me to lie in. Yet I still have my name, Gederen is my name. That name I lay on this hearth as a curse, and with it my shame. Keep that for me. Now nameless I will go seek my dead. Then some of the herdsmen jumped up with shouts and tumult intending to kill him, for murder is a lighter shadow on a house than suicide. He escaped, he escaped them and ran northward over the land towards the ice, outrunning all who pursued him. They came back all chapfallen to Chad, but Gederen went on, and after 2 days' journey came to the Pyrenean ice. Asterisk. The Pyrenean ice is the glacial sheet that covers the northmost portion of Carhide, and is, in winter when the Gauten Bay is frozen, continuous with the governing ice or Orgeren. For 2 days he walked northward on the ice. He had no food with him nor shelter but his coat. On the ice nothing grows and no beast runs. No beasts run. It was the month of Sosmi, and the fierce grey snows were falling those days and nights. He went alone through the storm. On the second day he knew he was growing weaker. On the second night he must lie down and sleep a while. On the third morning waking he saw that his hands were frost-bitten, and found that his feet were too, though he could not unfasten his boots to look at them. Having no use left of his hands, he began to crawl forward on knees and elbows. He had no reason to do so, as it did not matter whether he died in one place on the ice or another, but he felt that he should go northward. Northward. After a long while the snow ceased to fall around him, and the wind to blow. The sun shone out. He could not see far ahead as he crawled, for the fur of his hood came forward over his eyes. No longer feeling any cold in his legs and arms nor on his face, he thought that the frost had benumbed him. Yet he could still move. He could still move. The snow that lay over the glacier looked strange to him, as if it were a wheat grass growing up out of the ice. It bent to his touch and straightened again like grass blades. She ceased to crawl and sat up, pushing back his hood, so he could see around him. As far as he could see lay fields of the snowgrass, white and shining. There were groves of white trees, with white leaves growing on them. The sun shone, and it was windless, and everything was white. Getheren took off his gloves and looked at his hands. They were white as the snow, yet the frostbite was gone out of them, and he could use his fingers and stand upon his feet. He felt no pain, and no cold, and no hunger. He saw away over the ice to the north a white tower like the tower of a domain, and from this place far away one came walking towards him. After a while Getheren could see that the person was naked. His skin was all white, and his hair was all white. He came nearer and near enough to speak. Getheren said, "Who are you?" The white man said, "I am your brother and Cameron Holt." Holt was the name of his brother who had killed himself, and Getheren saw that the white man was his brother in body and feature, but there was no longer any life in his belly, and his voice sounded thin like the creaking of ice. Getheren asked, "What place is this?" Holt answered, "This is the place inside the blizzard. We who kill ourselves dwell here. Here you and child keep our bow." Getheren was frightened, and he said, "I will not stay here. If you had come away with me from our herd into the southern lands, we might have stayed together and keep our vow lifelong. No man knowing our transgression, but you broke your vow, throwing it away with your life, and now you cannot say my name." This was true. Holt moved his white lips, but could not say his brother's name. He came quickly together and reaching out his arms to hold him and seize him by the left hand. Getheren broke free and ran from him. He ran to the southward, and running saw rise up before him a white wall of falling snow. And when he entered into it, he fell again on his knees and could not run, but crawled. On the 9th day after he had gone up on the ice, he was found in their domain by people of Orkhok which lies northeast of Chad. They did not know who he was nor where he came from, for they found him crawling in the snow, starving, snow-blind, his face blackened by sun and frost, and at first he could not speak. Yet he took no lasting harm except in his left hand, which was frozen and moss-bit and pured. Some of the people there said it was Gathering of Chad, of whom they had heard talk. Others said it could not be, for that Gathering had come up on the ice in the first blizzard of autumn, and was certainly dead. He himself denied that his name was Gathering. When he was well, he left Orkot and the storm border, and went into the southern lands, calling himself Enoch. When Enoch was an old man dwelling in the plains of Where, he met a man from his own country, and asked him, How fares Chad domain? The other told him that Chad fared ill, nothing prospered there in head of Tilt, or Tilt, all being blighted with illness, the spring seed frozen in the ground of the ripe grain rotted, and so it had been for many years. Then Enoch told him, I am Gathering of Chad, and told him how he had gone up on the ice and what he had met with there. At the end of his table he said, Tell them at Chad that I take back my name and my shadow. Not many days after this, Gathering took sick and died. The traveler carried his words back to Chad, and they say that from that time on the domain prospered again, and all went as it should go in field and house and heart. 3. The Mad King.